Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about calorie calculators and why they don't really work. And I'm not saying they aren't useful for finding a starting point if you have no idea, but that is actually the only thing they are good for. And they're very good for that. They can be useful for that purpose if you have no idea how many calories you're currently eating or how many you currently burn. They can be useful. And what do I mean? Well, a lot of these calculators where you plug in your activity, you plug in your body weight, your height, all this nonsense, right? Or when someone tells you, hey, just eat whatever, 14 calories per pound of body weight, or some other similar number that they give you with these different calculations. Now, before people jump in, and I always get this, well, you're not ripped, why should I care about what you say about nutrition? Because we're talking about gaining or losing weight. Even in my case, there'll be points where I want to gain weight. Most of my clients need to gain weight. Okay, because I'm a strength coach, I'm not a personal trainer. A pretty significant number of my clients need to put on weight, over half of them. And a pretty good chunk of them struggle to do so. So I'm used to dealing with a little bit different of a client base, a little bit different of a following, a different outreach than a lot of people who are out here in fitness because we care about strength first and foremost. Strength, power, muscle mass, athleticism, a lot more than being ripped. But the point is, this information is irrelevant to which of those goals you have because it is true either way. So what I'm going to say in this video applies both to people who are trying to bulk and get bigger, even if they're trying to get fat, whether they're trying to be big and not fat, or big and fat, and some people actually have that goal, there's a tiny segment of people, or whether your goal is to get really, really lean. It doesn't change the fact that the calculators don't work. They don't work for people who are already doing these things. Why is that? Because they don't account for need. They don't account for individual variations. And what I mean is that what I find, particularly with a lot of my lifters, as they gain muscle and they gain strength and their workloads go up in the gym and their calories go up, they're NEAT. They're non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Okay, NEAT. NEAT accounts for as much as, in some cases, as much as 50% of the calories that you burn. It's how much you move, how much you fidget, how much other thermic stuff is happening with your body. Right? The calculators don't account for that. And what I end up finding is that I might have a lifter who can gain weight on 2,800 calories at one point, and within a year, he can't gain weight on 3,500 calories anymore. But if you were to go take one of those basic calculators and you look at it and say, well, he only gained 12 pounds of body weight, right? Or, about 5 to 6 kilos. Over the course of 9 months or a year, it is not uncommon for that lifter's total energy turnover to go up by 1,000 calories. It happens. So the question becomes, why does it happen? And people would say, well, would that scale linearly? No, it won't. But what ends up happening is that as your workload goes up in the gym, your total calories and afterburn go up. In other words, if you're doing sets of 10 on the back squat with 185 pounds, and you take it up to where you're doing sets of 10 with 275 pounds, your workload and calorie burn will go up substantially. Okay. Then we have the fact that as you eat more food and as you get used to higher and higher calories, what happens? Your body starts burning more calories. It starts burning more calories through things like thyroid function, conversion of T4 to T3. A lot of these hormonal things matter. They don't remove calories in, calories out. By the way, that's nonsense. When people say, oh, hormones. No. Hormones affect your calories out a lot. They don't change calories in, calories out. People need to remember that calories out is extremely dynamic. And yes, it is impacted by what you eat over time. But in the case of a lot of these things, as people are eating more food, they're upping their carbs. They're increasing their fat, but particularly carbohydrate intake. As carbohydrate intake goes up, we tend to see more thermic effect in the body, but we also see a lot more thyroid function occurring, we see more thyroid hormones. We see a lot of shifts in a lot of hormones in the body that end up pushing you in the direction of burning more calories. Furthermore, people who are physically active, I'm not talking about someone who's lethargic, we're not talking about someone who's fat and pre-diabetic, they get tired, they get lethargic. Physically active and athletic people tend to get more energetic. They fidget more, they move more, particularly as calorie intake goes up, which causes them to burn even more calories. So what ends up happening is that these things become very, very dynamic. So a calorie calculator can't really get you to that point. A calorie calculator will help you to figure out a starting point. It will help you find a starting point, and then you have to weigh yourself every day and see how the scale changes up and down based upon that intake, so that you can determine what your maintenance calories are. And the thing that people need to keep in mind there is that as you gain muscle and strength, when you're in a calorie surplus, your calorie needs will start going up. They will go up faster than what your body weight will scale to. And it has to do with both energy turnover from the training. It has to do with increases in things like thyroid hormones, and it has to do with NEAT, the amount of how physically active you tend to be when you're not training. Okay, conversely, let's come over to people who are trying to lose weight. What did we just describe happening as calories go up? The calorie burn tends to increase over time. And it's not always going to match. You could eat enough that you would always gain weight without it ever adapting fully. But we're talking about, again, if you're gaining weight slowly, you're going to hit stalls. Same thing with weight loss. If weight loss causes us to lose body weight, that alone makes our base metabolism go down, just the change in weight. What happens if you lose a little bit of muscle tissue? Well, that tends to happen when you're losing body fat. All you guys who are getting really lean, you're not keeping your muscle. So it's silly when people say, well, when you get lean, you find out you didn't have as much muscle as you thought. Well, no, maybe you did, but you lost 10 pounds of muscle. The cutting process, especially when you get very lean, strips muscle away also. This has been confirmed with plenty of DEXA scans. Right? You might have lost 10 pounds of muscle tissue over that cut. Well, if we're losing muscle tissue, then we're also losing strength. We're losing metabolic rate, we're losing strength, we're burning less calories in our actual training. What also happens is calories go down. Just like when calories and carbs go up, thyroid output tends to increase. What happens when they go down? It tends to start reducing a little bit. What else happens? Your body tries to conserve energy. Just like when you're overeating and physically active, you tend to move more. When you start losing a little bit of muscle tissue, when your thyroid activity goes down a little bit, your things like your T4 to T3 conversion ratio go down a little bit, you start to get lethargic. Your body tries to conserve energy. You move less. So you can see oftentimes the same thing happen. Your maintenance calories could drop very, very quickly. Right? You could have been at a certain point losing weight at a certain caloric intake, and then all of a sudden you stall and you end up dropping yourself 500 calories lower and end up stalling a little bit eventually too. Now, the other extreme also holds that I said regarding the fact that you could drop your calories so low that you would never stop losing weight, and it is possible to do that also, but it's going to cost you an enormous amount of muscle tissue. So that's also a really, really, really bad idea. But the point is the same. These calculators just give you a starting point. You actually need to be weighing yourself regularly and tracking your caloric intake. You just use a calculator to find a starting point, and then you actually adjust based upon changes in scale weight on a weekly basis. Okay? That's how you need to do these things if you actually want to have accurate control over your body weight. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.